Hello, everyone. I'm Taylor Cordolillo, the manager of the LEC newsletter. Starting this week, we are going to be doing member spotlights, which will allow you to get to know the people behind the LEC. Today, we're starting with our president, Nancy Shaffer. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Taylor. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I would love it if you could just start by telling us a little bit more about yourself, your work experience, why you love events, things like that.
Sure. So I came to events as a second career in my life. I started in sales and marketing, and I believe that you are born to be in events or you're not born to be in events. And I just didn't know it until much later in my life. So I started through country western and swing dance competitions, and that would be a whole other conversation, so we won't go there. But I learned on the job, and since then I started a company called Bravo Events and have been producing corporate and nonprofit and association projects since then. 30 days ago, actually today, my company merged with another company called RJ White Event Production, and I am the new Chief Creative Officer, which is my favorite thing because it's about the storytelling. It's about utilizing a live event as a tool, whether or not you are selling a product, launching a product, you're a mission-based organization looking to raise awareness and raise funds, or you're an association that needs to bring in all of your people to continue to educate them and provide them the support and services that they need. So I love the creativity. I love the passion. Most of all, I love the impact, and I love making sure that clients really do understand it is a tool and it is part of your marketing and communication campaigns, and it should be. I tell people all the time, particularly my nonprofit clients, if all you want to do is raise money, let's not have an event. It's a really expensive way to do it. And they look at me and they go, but that's what you do. And I'm like, yes, it is. However, it's not the right way. So I love how our industry has evolved and grown in the 35 years I've been a part of it. And I can't really imagine doing anything else. I still get up every day and I'm excited to come to work. Now that's the last 30 days. We can talk about what I did for the 18 months before that. For the last 30 days, I'm still really excited about getting up and coming into the office and collaborating with my colleagues and collaborating with our clients.
That's amazing. I agree. I always love going to work and putting together events. It's the best feeling in the world. So tell me, how did you get involved with the LEC and why was that important for you?
So I blame Roger White, who is actually the organization that I'm now the Chief Creative Officer of. So when all of this started, and I think there was a panic across the country and small states all started to say, oh my God, what are we going to do? This is crazy. You know, the 12th of March, we were rocking and rolling, and the 13th of March, we were shut down, doors closed, locked up, and in a tailspin of not quite understanding what any of this meant. And so Roger brought together a group of us from Washington, D.C., and we kind of created, I like to call it a support group, where we kind of all lamented and said, what do you see? What do you see? Where's the help? What do we do? And what ultimately happened was, because in event communities, as we all well know, everybody knows everybody, and people got wind of the fact that there were 7 of us having this meeting on a weekly basis, and they said, we want to be a part of it. And so from that point on, the DC Event Coalition was born, and we met with people. And at the same time, Isaac Rothwell and a group of folks outside of DC had submitted a petition that ultimately got 500,000 signatures. And we began to realize that this was kind of happening dispergently all over the country. And so they were having meetings, and I was asked by the DC Event Coalition founders if I would sit in on those calls just to kind of make sure that we were all staying in place. That was probably April of 2020. And in July, I believe it was, of 2020, we put in our first slate of board members and officers, and I was voted in as the president. Why that was right for me is that I come from a family of advocates and activists. I have a brother who is, well, my grandfather was an organizer way, way back. My father was a community social worker. My brother was a union organizer. Another brother is an independent filmmaker who focuses on, stories that need to be told. And then there was me. And what I always said is that I want to make a difference in the world, as my family has. But I also loved business. And so it's why I do a lot of nonprofit work, because I believe that that is my skill to make a difference in the world. And so when this happened, it apparently was my time to rise to the occasion and become involved in activism and advocacy. But as most of us that are on the board and intimately involved, we're learning to fly a plane while it's in the middle of the air. So it has been the hardest work I've ever done, the most humbling work I've ever done, and in many respects, the most fulfilling work I've ever done.
Well, we appreciate all of your work. It's important and it's supporting so many people during these really difficult times. So thank you.
It has been a pleasure.
Tell me, what are your upcoming goals for the LEC?
So, I think that it's an interesting question that you ask. One of the challenges that we have, and we kind of knew that we were going to have this organization was born out of crisis. And during that period of time, everybody was really engaged. And as we have started to reopen and look at what the new world will look like, sometimes the need for the Live Events Coalition doesn't feel as important to people. So what we have to continue to do, because we haven't stopped, is we're continuing to advocate for ongoing support, because we were not supported properly in any of the bills. And so our amazing government affairs team, which is Dwayne Thomas, Wendy Porter, and Chris, I'm going to butcher Chris's last name, so forgive me, Chris, Navaturil, I believe, have been working day in and day out to build awareness along with all of our members and our industry. As we sit now with the fabulous news that many of us are back to work and back to live events, it means that we have to continue to engage people and get them to understand that this is an organization that cannot just be a pandemic organization. I have always believed since I started in this industry that I didn't understand why there wasn't an association for the industry. There are lots of verticals and they're important, whether it's ILEA or NACE or the Limousine Association or any of these specifics, but there was never one that fought for us as an industry. And I think it's one of the reasons why we were in the position that we were in 2020. So the goal is to continue to build awareness, to continue to get members, to continue to fight for advocacy, and to then also be prepared, sadly, when the next crisis occurs, whether that's a crash in the market, it's another, God forbid, pandemic, it's regulation, it's any number of things that could impact us. Even, unfortunately, hurricanes and natural disasters, but also man-made crises, whether it's what happened in Las Vegas and other places where you have mass shootings and things of that nature. So we want to be a strong organization to support our industry and make sure that we are never caught in the place that we were caught in 2020.
Absolutely. That's incredibly important work. Final question for you. Any tips for our readers?
I say this a lot on many of the programming that we've done. Tip number one, just because we're back to work and it's been a rough 18 months, please don't make it a fire sale. What we do is important, and what we do is far more important and far more financially important, not only to the national GDP, but to the organizations that you're working for and with, that the value of who we are as an industry needs to be elevated. I've always said this. What we do is not easy. It's not rocket science, not neurosurgery, but we are responsible for anywhere from 10 people to thousands of people. It's duty of care, it's logistics, it's strategy, it's all of those things. We are professionals and we should be treated as such. So while it may be hard, don't give away your services. Remember why you are important. I think the other tip, and I'm a perfect example of this, is, and I've said this, when we started down this road, we probably perceived each other in each of our disciplines as competitors. And when this happened, we became colleagues. And my hope is that we remain colleagues who now compete for business versus competitors. Because together we are stronger than we are individually. And the last tip is to take care of yourself. We don't do a good job of that. We burn out. We work really, really hard. And so hopefully we look at what we do slightly differently and remember that you have to breathe and you have to take time for yourself and reach out to others. Whether or not it was when we started and people felt so isolated and alone, and we always said reach out to others to know that you're not alone, that shouldn't change. Reach out to others because we are a wealth of knowledge, and I think people are more generous in sharing knowledge because together we are so important.
I totally agree. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today. If anyone wants to get in touch with Nancy, I will leave her email in the newsletter. And then also, if you have any tips or content that you would like to have featured in the newsletter, please do email it to me, and I'll drop the email for that in the newsletter as well. So again, thank you so much, Nancy. I appreciate you.
It's been my pleasure. I'm going to do one last pitch because our newsletter goes to an awful lot of people. If you're not a member of the Live Events Coalition, I ask you personally to become a member. This is an all-volunteer organization. No one is being paid except for maybe our advocacy firm, but we can't do this without your support. And I think that membership is a reasonable amount of money for an individual membership, as well as some of our business memberships. And also, if you would like to be involved in a more direct way, we need you and we want you. So please reach out. There are lots of opportunities. And I thank everybody in this industry for trusting us. I thank everybody for staying focused and committed. And I appreciate you all. And Taylor, I can't thank you enough for all you do with the newsletter and as it is now about to evolve. So folks, keep an eye out. Our newsletter is getting more and more exciting because Taylor's doing a great job in our Marcom team.
Thank you.
Thank you.